Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Everyone's excited. It's Wednesday. We're halfway there. I don't know about you guys, but it's been a long week for me for some reason. I don't know why, but
I,
it has
I, I was
been.
traveling last week, and so that's my
So yeah,
excuse.
then yeah. All right, we'll give it like a minute for some people to join.
That's good.
I went outside this morning to walk the dog, and it's so nice out. It was like 60 something. I'm like, if only it stayed that way until 5, but it's probably gonna heat up.
Not too bad. They said only high of 80 to 85
Oh,
today.
okay, that's good.
So I may be taking my laptop outside this
There you go.
afternoon to
That's
finish my
yeah,
work.
that's a
Yeah.
good idea. All right, well, I guess we'll get started. So obviously, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Um, as you know, this is on Hatz AI, and AI is everywhere right now. There's a lot of buzz, a lot of tools, and I know it can feel a little overwhelming, or maybe a lot overwhelming. I know, and I'm speaking from experience. It is overwhelming trying to figure out what actually works or where to start. So today we're doing this webinar to kind of keep things simple and practical. We're going to walk through how businesses are actually using AI with Hats AI to save time, automate some of those everyday tasks that you have to do, and just make work easier overall, because that's the goal. We're going to show you a live demo. Well, actually, not we, Russell will be doing that so that you can see it in action. And as always, with all of our webinars, we're going to have time at the end for questions. So throughout the presentation, feel free to pop them in the chat and then we'll address them whenever we get a break or at the end. We'll definitely have time. So I guess let's jump in, and Russell, it's all
All right.
yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Sonia, as always. Appreciate it. And like I said, just pop your questions in so we don't forget them. We'll get to everything today. All right. Sonia, can you see the slide?
Yep, I
All
can.
right, perfect. Well, let's get rolling here. So what we wanted to do, as Sonia said, is introduce our new AI platform. And we're going to talk about use cases for it, how to use it. We're going to be focused on hats today, but as Sonia suggested, um, a lot of the AI kind of methodology applies to any platform. So keep that in mind too. Even if you don't end up with hats, I think we're going to see some good stuff as we go along. So quick calibration. I've got my chat open. Um, we kind of always like to start with where is your organization at today? And so is AI used by your staff? And what governance do you have? Is it formally addressed? Is it allowed? Is it barred? Or just not discussed? It's the hidden secret, as we like to say in the anthropology world. Visibility is another part of this too. So where do you know what tools your staff is using? And what are they doing with your company or your organization's data? If they're using a public or free tool, that can be a problem, right? Nothing is free, even in technology. So those free tools may be training on the data you put in. You don't want your staff putting sensitive information into free tools. And then we also like to look at what the opportunities are. AI is here. It is maturing rapidly. It's pretty darn mature at the moment. It's only going to get more so. So, what opportunities do you have to make your organization run more efficiently? And have you started identifying those? We're going to show you how to do that today too. So, first thing we want to talk about is the current state of AI in every organization and almost certainly in yours too. So, first off, it's here. It's not going anywhere. Adoption, like I said, is only going to get deeper. So if you're not starting to leverage AI and your peers and competitors are, you're starting to fall behind. So there's a risk there of doing nothing, falling behind competitors who are doing things to make things more efficient. And we're going to talk today a lot about how to leverage AI that doesn't weaken your brand, your operations, or identity. So this is not just using AI, but it's using it carefully and selectively. One of the other things we're going to talk about is shadow AI. So this tool, you got Gemini on your phone, you've got Apple on your phone, is an incredibly powerful tool. And people have it with them all the time. If you're not providing this kind of tool, your smart, motivated staff are going to go out and find their own AI engines and start leveraging those to make their jobs more efficient and productive. So we want to be providing this so you have control. Same way you want your staff using company emails. So you have control over that environment. You want them using company controlled AI. So you know what's happening. That's where the governance comes in. We want to start scaling up. We want to do consistent outputs from session to session. We want to do consistent outputs from person to person. That's how companies scale with any operation or processes. We want to extend that to AI. Excuse me. Data exposure risk, we touched on that a little bit. If people are using public AIs, like a public version of ChatGPT, things that they put in can be used to train the AIs, are used to train future models. So there is a risk of company data spilling out if people are using public unpaid AIs. Samsung, a huge tech company, had a very serious incident 2 years ago where their engineers in their chip foundries were uploading sensitive proprietary information to public versions of GPT to analyze the code. That could have cost Samsung billions of dollars had that information gotten to competitors. We don't want to worry about that. And then fragmented spend. This is something that's starting to happen now. My colleague Deanna and I were on with one of our clients the other day and found out, oh, we've got 3 people with OpenAI Claude subscriptions. We've got 2 people with GPT subscriptions. I've got another person with a Grok subscription, and then we've got 3 Copilot licenses. So keeping track of that spend, that mess, and who has what license is becoming more and more of a challenge. This is especially true as what AI is best at a certain task can change from month to month. The industry is moving so fast right now that I may say, hey, Claude Opus is the best tool I found for this particular workflow. A month from now, it may be GPT-6 or whenever that comes out. So we want to keep this in mind. Business outcome of these things are inconsistent results, mess, and there's risk developing, which is invisible until a problem happens. So leadership needs to have visibility in the AI systems. It needs to have visibility in the usage. It needs to have governance and control. One of the other things we're also dealing with a lot right now is people are afraid to use AI a lot of times, and there are legitimate reasons why people can have fears. One of the really fascinating things, there's been a bunch of research studies done in the last year about people's views on AI adoption. Only 16% of Americans think AI is going to help them personally. That's an uphill climb, right? And we need to address that. Your youngest employees, people coming right out of school, are the most scared of AI and what impact that has on their job. Your oldest employees, they're concerned, but they're less so, right? They're not going to have to use it that long. So one of the things that we want to address right away is that AI will replace you. The good news is I'm not hearing that from our clients at Advantage. In the small and medium business market, with the nonprofits we work with as well, what I'm getting from CEOs and COOs is how do I help my best people work more efficiently? How do I take the busy work off their plate that doesn't require a lot of mental energy, but takes a lot of their time? How do I lift that off their shoulders so they can focus on the stuff they're best at? That's, how do our client success managers get more time with our clients and less time preparing summary documents? That's a perfect example of that. So when we're talking with our clients, what we're hearing is how do we use AI to grow the business? How do we become more productive? How do we let our folks fly? And that's really our message here is we want to build the AI usage around your staff and your workflows. And we do that through careful training. If people are trained on it, they're not as scared of it. If I get in trouble, I'll use it wrong. You got to have governance. So we're going to talk about that. We want to give people clear boundaries on when they can use AI and when they should use AI. One of the things we found over the last couple of years is that when your voice matters, you want to write it yourself. You don't want to have the AI write it. That's a good example. Or a lot of the marketing content. We found that people, our own staff. Sonia is much better at writing marketing content than AIs. But there are other cases where, yes, the AI absolutely makes sense and is going to save you a huge amount of time. AI hallucination, that's a risk. We're going to talk about that when we get to the demo, but there is a risk. You've seen this in the news where an AI wants to be right, it wants to help you out, and sometimes it will make up or hallucinate information to back up its argument. We want to learn good AI tools, and good AI adoption training tells you how to mitigate that risk and spot it when it happens. So again, education is going to give your staff confidence and show them the way. Only tech people will benefit. No. Um, we want to go ground up. So a lot of our approach to AI, if you're in manufacturing, it's that lead framework. We want to have the people out on the shop floor influencing how we use the tool. So our methodology that we're going to talk about today is very ground up. It's teaching your people how to use AI and then teaching them how to build it out. We want to teach people to fish, if you're familiar with that term, and create a security compliance risk. This is really important. We can't have data spell out like we've talked about with AI. So again, if we govern the environment, if we train your staff on where and when to use it, we can mitigate that risk. So the empowerment and comes through education. Reducing fear comes from education. So one of the big takeaways today, even if you're not using hats, is any AI program has to be centered around education and training your staff. We know from our own conversations with clients that some of your staff are using AI hours a day, and they're very good at it. We also know that some of your staff aren't using it at all. So one of the things that we want to do is get people to a baseline level that we can start building out from. And this is one of the ways we do that. We also have run into cases where companies get excited, they start with AI, and then momentum fails. So again, my colleague Deanna and I were working with one of our clients, they're a manufacturer. They had engaged an AI firm with a basically mission, hey, we want to deploy AI as many places as we can. They pulled us into a meeting because it had been 14 months and they didn't have anything to show for it. They weren't using it anywhere yet. And we realized that part of that was there was no focus. When we said we want to put AI everywhere, how do you do that? This is a big company with hundreds of employees in multiple locations. That's a huge mission. So what we want to do is we want to maintain that excitement after the kickoff. We want to focus and narrow down where we're going to focus our energies first, where we're going to pick first. If we try to do AI everywhere, we're going to do AI nowhere. What we want to do is let's find out which departments, which teams, which people, even at the start, and we're going to look at this, where we want to build and roll out from there. We can do that then. We can take qualitative data. If we're doing slow, we can start building that data and we know where to build out further. Name donors and measurement. We want to identify AI champions. Like I said, you have folks in your organization literally right now who are probably using AI tools hours and hours a day, and they're doing some really nifty stuff at it. It may just be in their head at this point. They may not be sharing it. They may not feel safe to share how they're using it. So we want to identify those people that are really pushing the boundaries of AI. They become our AI champions in the organization. So how do we spot those people, and how do we build on their knowledge of your organization? And yeah, tools go live at once, never improve. So we treat AI like an improvement program. Again, if we go back to lead manufacturing as an example, it is iterative updates, iterative improvements. Hey, we've deployed the AI. It is saving us as a department 5 hours a week. That doesn't mean we're done. We're going to keep refining it and iteratively improving it, and maybe we can get it to save us 6 hours a week in another month. That's worth it. There's a way to get to here. So first off, and just to recap, we're going to develop a defined adoption sequence. We call this a crawl, walk, run. We're going to look at that in a minute. We want to have visibility and governance. So the organization should control the AI framework and have visibility to how people are using it, who's using it, where they're using it. And so we can set rules around it. We want to build hours-based ROI measurement. That's one of the big areas that companies and organizations fall down on in AI adoption. They look at shiny objects. We already mentioned marketing, and so I was like, oh, you can create this poster or this video or content. That actually doesn't have the strongest ROI. How do you measure the ROI of that? We want to focus on things we can measure, and that lets us know where we want to build out from. And then AI adoption centered around people and workflows. This is kind of one of our mantras at Advantage, is that technology is here to work for us. It's here to work for people, not the other way around. That can get flipped around a lot, especially with AI stuff. And the AI kind of gets put first. Here's the tool you should use. Oh, and here, and yeah, there are your people and workflows. We want to flip that around. We're going to build around what you're doing, who your folks are, and that's going to determine the technology path we take. So Hatz.ai. Why we've identified them as a partner and why we signed up with them. So Kevin Dubois, our director of services, and I talked with a bunch of different AI companies. And as you know, if you're an Advantage client, we also heavily use Microsoft Copilot. We're going to talk about that too. But we also were hearing from clients a few interesting things. One is this state we talked about where I've got 3 GPT subscriptions and I got 5 Claude subscriptions and I got 2 Grok subscriptions. Keeping track of that and sharing that knowledge across the rest of the company becomes problematic. That Claude subscription may be doing great things for the 2 people that have it. How do you get that to the rest of the people? How do you choose which is the best model? So Hatz, and we're going to see this in the demo, gives you access to over 50 different LLMs. That's all the big ones that we just mentioned, also some of the more esoteric ones, Mistral, etc., and different versions of that. So you can really pick the best AI tool for your organizations or your departments or your own particular workflow. And it's under one plan and one cost. Governance training and AI adoption are included. This is probably our favorite thing about Hatz. Again, we want to teach your staff how to fish. Rather than just be handed fish. So we want to really build how to use AI. We want to get everybody to a baseline. We're going to look at some of the training modules today. But building that confidence teaching is really key. And Hatz has really nice guided educational paths. Flat monthly pricing. So we are going to talk about this, but we do see AI costs increasing. We do see the end of unlimited AI plans coming. So how do we budget for AI use and then track that against our ROI? That's very important to us. We want to have a flat AI fee per month that we can build and plan around. Uh, One of the other problems we run into is that issue of 3 people with Claude, 5 people with GPT. Let's get it to everybody. So HATS plans are an organization-wide plan. You do not need to assign licenses to particular people. Everybody in your company or organization has access to it. Now, we can restrict access. We can restrict access based on role or user to certain permissions. But one of the big advantages is you do not need to worry about who has a license with HATS. Everybody has access to the platform, and everybody can share the agents and other knowledge they built. And then lastly, we want to make sure this is a good investment. That's really important. That's important to every organization, any tool that we're using. There are a lot of shiny objects in AI. We've already talked about a couple of them. So we want to make sure the way that your company is using AI is providing a good return on that investment. So we track that with quantitative measurements, and HATS helps us do that. I did just mention this. This is one of the things that we're very aware of in our environment right now. We are seeing changes coming to billing for AI. So we've been pretty comfortable for the last couple of years. If you sign up for a GPT plan, it's unlimited usage on that plan. That has all changed in the last few months. So as AI costs have continued to rise, we all know they're building a ton of very expensive data centers right now. As they scale out, they need to cover those costs. So we're seeing what are called credit plans being implemented. HATS uses these as well. That are usage based. So the person that is using AI to create a huge video is going to use a lot more credits than somebody using AI to review a contract, for instance, and the billing is going to be adjusted. So some recent changes here. One of the things that we like about HATS, which we'll look at in a few minutes, is that HATS has a kind of cap. You're not going to get a huge additional bill on that monthly stuff. So adoption is a maturity journey. This is our philosophy. This is HAT's philosophy, and this is ours at Advantage too. Again, remember, you've got a big disparity in how comfortable your staff is with AI usage and adoption. And one of the things we want to do at the start is we want to get everybody to kind of the same baseline so we can scale out as an organization. And so crawl is going to get everybody familiar with HATS. And if they're not familiar with AI usage, it's going to get them familiar with AI usage. Walk is building on that initial knowledge, starting to build your own custom agents and workflows, and starting to share those amongst your team members. And that's where we're really tracking the ROI, and we're starting to see some productivity improvements and efficiency improvements. And then run is where we are scaling across the entire company with an agent or a tool. Maybe we're integrating with third-party data sources like your Salesforce CRM. So as we're moving into that really at scale, but we want to take this whole journey. You can't just start running. Because half of your staff may not know how to use AI yet. So we want to get everybody there and go on the journey together. That also makes people feel safer and more confident about the usage. Now, one nice thing is this is not a long journey. This is not 12 months. This is 90 days. And that's our goal for this. So we don't want you to lose time. We know other companies are leveraging AI, and we want to help you do that. The faster we get started, the better off we'll be. So in the crawl phase, what we are doing here is getting the tool out to all of your staff, or all of the staff you tell us to do. That may be a subset of users, that may be everybody at the start, and we'll talk about that with you. Your client success manager will talk about that with you. What we also want to do is build some rules around usage. So we want you and your staff to be confident in where and how they are using AI and where and how it is safe to do so. So that's a very, very critical part in the crawl phase. And then to target non-value added work, and we're going to see some examples of that. So let's talk about which tool for which data a second. Now, we're a Microsoft shop. We heavily use Copilot. We did a webinar just last month on Copilot. So you know that Copilot is a very governed environment. Data in Copilot doesn't leave Microsoft. It's not used for training. So it's very secure. Now, this is also the problem of Copilot. And this is one of the reasons why we added Hats on as an additional tool at Advantage. We had clients come to us and say, hey, I really want to be using Claude Opus. Well, that wasn't available in Copilot until April 1st, very recently. But they could have been using it for a year or more earlier than that. We've had clients saying, hey, I've noticed that GPT is a little, the newer version that I have access to under a subscription is giving me a little better information than the version in Copilot, which is slightly older. So because Microsoft is so focused on data governance, they actually slow down the cadence of improvements. So they're going to err on the side of caution. They're going to err on the side of security more than your paid GPT subscription would. Not a lot. Now, both environments are still safe. Both environments have SOC 2 compliance. They're highly governed. But Microsoft is at like belt and suspenders, extra layers of protection. That means they slow down the pace of innovation, though. So here is our general guidance, and this is general guidance. We want to sit down with you in our crawl phase as we're working with you. We will talk about this in the context of your particular organization. But general guidance for today. If you are dealing with regulated or highly sensitive data, so if you're a healthcare provider and we're talking about PHI, patient health information, that's a good example of this. We want to be in Copilot. You have a business associate agreement that covers HIPAA usage in your Microsoft Cloud already in terms of email and SharePoint. Copilot piggybacks on that same security and governance that you've already set up, and it's safe to use. Highly sensitive intellectual property. This could be source code, board materials, trade secrets, ITAR CUI if you're a government contractor, legal holds and privilege materials. So I would say something on particular cases rather than something more broad. That would be an area where you probably want to go into Copilot. And then anything labeled confidential or highly confidential if you're using Microsoft Purview. So, and we kind of say if you're on the fence, go to Copilot. It's a little bit more secure. Now, Hats is highly secure. Again, these are governed commercial agreements. Because of that, your data is not being used to train other large language models. It's not going to spill out on the other side of the world, but it does leave your Microsoft cloud. And BAAs can be a little complex in Hats, right? So they've got 50 different LLMs. We're going to want to make sure that if you're a healthcare provider and you're using PHI, that we're only using the LLMs that have the BAA agreement with you. So it's a little trickier for certain things, but in general, Hats is a great product and it's secure and it's going to give you access to the latest generation of all these 50 different tools. So things like drafting reports, summaries, email status updates, contract and document review. You get proposals from 3 different companies for a new AV setup for your office. Great. Pop that into Hats and have it analyze the proposals. Meeting prep minutes, follow-ups, research and market analysis, workflow and agent building, production, shop floor agents, if you're a manufacturer. These are all great use cases, but we're going to want to look with you specifically for your organization in that crawl phase and answer any questions you may have on particular types of documents or workflows, and we're happy to do that with you. Yeah, we'll have time for questions about this too. So in our walk phase, after we've identified and laid these things out in crawl, we've been capturing usage data. Your staff has been using Hats for a couple weeks, and we're actually able to start seeing we're not seeing like what they're putting in, but we are seeing who's using Hats more. And we can see that on an individual user. So that lets us start identifying champions. Wow, look at what Anil's doing here. That's really amazing work. They're leveraging it. Let's go talk with them. Let's go find out what this employee is using Hats for. Maybe that's something we want to build out. So what we're doing in the walk phase is we've identified our champions. We're looking at how they're using AI because they know your company, they know the workflows they need to be building. We are starting to build agents to scale across teams. We've identified quantitatively, hey, I've built an agent that saves me 20 minutes a day. If I can get that to my 5 other team members, well, all of a sudden, ooh, that's 120 minutes a day. And that starts adding up, right? Now we're talking 10 hours a week in time savings across the team. And that really matters. It starts adding. So that's going to let us know here's what I'm bringing to the rest of my team because it's going to save the company time. And we're adding human review. So human review is always key. And we're going to talk about this in our example, but one of the things that we advise in this crawl and walk phase is you're not building a new workflow. You're going to start with a workflow you already know. And one of the reasons we do that is because AIs aren't perfect yet. They are evolving so fast, they can make mistakes, they can hallucinate. If you build your agent and as you're learning to build the tools, start with a workflow you know and understand because it does 2 things. One, it lets you quantify the impact of the tool. You know how much time it saved because it used to take you half an hour. Two, it lets you test how accurate the AI is. I know what the output should be. This is what I should see from the AI. And if I'm not, here's what I need to adjust. And what we're really looking at is, again, we're trying to identify where I'm saving time, where my teammates are saving time, and then where the organization as a whole can save time. So this is a lot of times, you know, 2 roles of high admin load. Back office processes consistently tend to be low-hanging fruit for AI adoption. Report generation, summaries, meetings, ops and finance, project managers. So look at those roles, and often they're going to be the initial champions. And what we're doing again is how much time does it take now? Now, how much time do we save with the agent? And that lets us know, is it worth spending more time on this agent? Or, oh, this didn't really save us any time. It doesn't give us the results we want. At least for right now, we're not going to extend this out to the rest of the team. But what we want to do is we want to standardize our workflows so everybody is getting the same outputs and working in the same way. And this is a really important part of the walk phase. Just some more examples here on that here. Some other interesting things we see is, yeah, contract reviews is super valuable. We use that all the time at Advantage. Policy drafting and summarizing, that's a great one. Operations and finance have a lot of opportunities here. Preparing certain reports for the board. For instance, if you're a nonprofit, making sure that format is the same every time. If we can automate that report generation, that could save you hours. And then people and knowledge. So one of the things we have manufacturers looking at right now is they have very nice, say, high-end equipment from a manufacturer like Trump. This could be $1 million piece of equipment. It's got hundreds of pages of service manuals. So let's get those service manuals into the AI. Let's make it so your staff can ask questions of them when it's, say, time to repair something. And let's have a translation too, so it doesn't matter what people's first language is, the AI can respond in that way. So there are a lot of interesting low-hanging fruit opportunities that you can get implemented usually within a few weeks. Run that is where we're starting to really work at scale. That is where AI usage is really built into the organization's procedures, workflows. We're extending this from teams to the entire group, if that makes sense, for that tool. And when we have new employees started, this is one of the tools that they're getting. This is the way the company works. So it's rolling it out at scale and then moving it into a continuous improvement mode. The AIs next month will be better than the AIs today, which are better than the AIs last month. So that's one of the things. This is a continuously improving cyclical industry right now, and we want to use tools that let us easily update things and then don't make it fixed. So your first 90 days, and we want a tight short project to get you there because it's pretty easy to get there if you follow this crawl, walk, run. So weeks 1 to 2, we want everybody to take their initial HATS training. That's the AI Championship certification. That's going to help get all of your folks to that comfortable baseline. We want them to be using the tool. If they're not familiar with AI, we want them using it every day. And we are able to see, and you're able to see from your admin portal, who is and who isn't, who we need to maybe spend a little more time with. And we're building basic usage. In the walk phase, we're rolling out some workflows. We're going across teams. We're using workflows in daily production in, say, the accounting department. And we're quantifying how much time or other productivity we're getting back. And then in that run phase, again, that's where we're scaling out. Maybe we're starting to integrate with third-party systems and databases and build around there. So it's very doable. Now, the money, the good stuff. All right. So if you've been shopping around at AI plans, they are getting more expensive right now. Everybody's raising their prices, and that's partially because the tools do keep getting better. They take more resources to run. So the AI companies have been having to raise their prices. What we want to do with HATS is put a predictable budget. So rather than a fluctuating price, it's going to change month by month, depending on usage, or being in that case of, wow, Bob used GPT a ton and we got a big overage bill, and Jane barely used it and was way under her credit limit. But how do we even that out? So HATS is going to even that out across your usage base. Remember, it's organization wide, and you've got a credit pool. So starting out, and this is kind of advice from HATS, but up to 60 users or so is going to be on that 100K credit pool. We have no problem starting any organization out at that 100 credit package, 100,000 credit package. That's a good place to start. Obviously, they're going to let you move up down the road if you want to do that. So our kind of advice is start out there unless you're really ready to dive in. And obviously, we can set you up on a higher tier plan depending on your usage base. Now, one of the questions people ask is what happens or how many credits should we expect to use? Well, Robert, one of our engineers, on day 2 started building an agent, working with it, building a documentation stuff. He was using it for hours. I think he used 9 credits on that first day he was in. So especially if you're going back and forth with the chatbot, credit usage is very, very minimal. We don't see high credit usage until kind of maybe in the run phase, and we're building very long, elaborate agents, or say somebody's trying to generate videos, that can be high. HATS can restrict that. So you can say, hey, people aren't allowed to use certain very expensive models, or they're not allowed to do things like video creation. If you want to limit that, you're able to do so. Oh. When you hit your credit limit, you will not get an overage, which is one of the things that we really liked about it when Kevin and I were reviewing this stuff. It's a little bit like some of the older T-Mobile or Comcast cell phone plans where they lower your speed if you hit the credit limit. So rather than the request going in right away, you might have to wait a minute or two for the request to go in. They may also restrict you from some of those things like video or image generation once you hit your credit limit. So basically, you get a speed limit put on your plan once you hit, say, 100,000 at the end of the, towards the end of the month, but you still have access to the tool. If it happens, a few months in a row, we're going to say, hey, let's, we probably want to look at upgrading the plan, or we want to add some restrictions into your team's usage to prevent us from going over. We can, again, look at users, we can spotlight and say, hey, Bob's doing a lot of this, image work. Maybe we want to limit that. So we're able to come back and do that. Implementation. We have a minimal implementation that is just 925. What we do on that side is we're going to set up the account for you. We're going to tie it into your Microsoft SSO sign-in, so your staff will sign in with their Microsoft account and credentials. Makes it very easy to manage. And then at that point, you're going to be using the Hatz training and coaching materials. We're going to have a kickoff 1 hour call, but after that, you're going to be taking their training. We also have coached onboarding, which will walk you through the phases in more depth, and we'll have regular coach meetings with you. So either approach, if you're like, hey, we are super confident in AI, my people have been using it all the time, I want to hit the ground running, no problem. Just go with the minimal. If you want more of a guided tutorial and training, you want to be walked through it while you're taking the online courses, then you're going to want to go for the coached onboarding, and we can give you a little more information on that. So call to actions. Talk with your Advantage Client Success Manager if you're interested, Phil, Deanna, and Antoine. And if you're not an Advantage client, this is still something we can do for you as a discrete project. We do not need to be your IT company to deliver Hatz. It stands on its own, and you're going to reach out to sales at Get Advantage. In that case, talk with Sonia and myself. Pick a credit plan. Again, we're going to help you do that. We're going to evaluate how you're operating right now. Pick an implementation package. Again, we'll talk about that with you. And then we're going to get a kickoff scheduled. And basically, our goal is to have you team in Hatz using it within a week or two. This should not take a lot of time. We want you to get in, get your feet wet. So, right now, I'm going to show a quick little guided tour. If we have questions, go ahead and do pop them in if you haven't yet. We'll have a few minutes for those too. But let me bring Hatz token. Yeah, John, I think we got your question there about credits and tokens and budgets exploding. That's how we're putting the cap on it, is that is your fixed fee for the month. You get your speed slowed down, and we'll look at why you hit your limit that month, but you're not going to get a huge bill. Oh my God. All right. So I'm going to bring Hatz over. This is the home screen. So a couple things I wanted to show you here first. So first off is we have the learning portal. And this is where all of that Hatz educational and training content is. And this is one of the reasons why we loved it. Now, Navigator is something that you're going to be using over that crawl, walk, run, and they actually break it down in phases. So they'll actually say, hey, let's take a break for a couple weeks because we're going to work on some more stuff in the walk module. But when we're getting started, we want everybody in your organization to go ahead and take the champion certification. So what that is that is going to get everybody in your organization to a comfortable baseline. And get them into that crawl certification. So if they have not used AI before, it's going to give them the fundamentals, the things we've talked about, rule of three, context, question, and framing, and all these things. So really good modules. They are video classes. They're broken down by prompt engineering, which I just mentioned, tracking impact. How do we measure the ROI of the AI we're using? And then gives us some use cases and examples. So this is something that your staff can do in under 2 hours and is going to get them rolling and ready to work, and we love it. Then we recommend, again, you go back and do the longer training as you're working through the 90-day window. But everybody gets access to this regardless of which implementation package you use, and we recommend everybody takes them regardless of which implementation package you use. On the main screen, you've got some pretty nifty things. One is Hatz, again, because it's organization-wide, lets you share agents with the rest of your organization or specific people. So here's an agent I built, which we're going to kind of demo today, Flight Finder for engineers. Here's an agent that Robert built to help us better format our documentation so it's consistent across clients, which is a great agent idea and really nice job on that, Robert. And then here's one that my colleague Peter built, which will take apart and help us with project planning and look at Azure virtual desktop rollouts and how we manage those projects. So these are really good cases where the standardization that the AI can implement and build around is going to give us good ROI and save us a lot of time and reduce errors. So those are great use cases. And we have access to these. I can go into any of these right now, and I will be instantly using that agent that I or my colleague built. I can also do a regular chat. This is where we help you get started. Now, if you've been using AI, this is like using GPT. This is like using Copilot. Put your question in. Now, Hatz, like I said, gives you access to 50 different LMs. So right now I'm on auto, which is usually where I want to be. One of the cool things about Hatz is that it will pick based on the type of query you have, it will pick the best AI for that question. So, and the neat thing is that can change over time, right? So right now it may say, hey, I can use Claude Sonnet for this. That's their midline plan. But I might need to use Claude Opus, which is their heavy hitter for certain parts of the task. And it will actually switch off depending on which model's best. But so we love Auto for that. That's also a good way that it saves credits. It's going to do the most efficient model for the task. Again, if we're looking at Claude, I like to say if I need to get a prescription, drive it up to Hagerstown, I don't need to rent a semi truck to do that, right? I can just get in my little Mazda and drive it out to Hagerstown. And the auto selector does that. If your question doesn't require that expensive Opus heavy hitter, it's going to put you on the lower tier, less credit Haiku because you're going to get the same quality answer. So I can turn it off. Auto, and that's where we can see here that I've got a ton of different options: Google Gemini, Anthropic Claude, here's GPT from OpenAI, and just keep going down, Mistral, O1, Grok, etc. So I can go in and pick a specific model if I want, and I know it has better results, but I usually recommend starting with Auto most of the time. Here I'm on Haiku, so I'm going to switch back to Auto, and I can type in my query, whatever that is. I can drag a file into the box, so I can go to File Explorer. Let's say I want to compare two proposals that I've gotten from my cabling vendor. I can drag both files right into the chat box and then ask it to compare those cabling vendors, and we've demonstrated this stuff for Copilot. Now, here's one of the places where Hatz really shines, is they make it very easy to build and share agents with your staff. Now, in our coached implementation, we'll help you do this. We'll help you build your first few agents, but the Hatz training will also show you how to do this in that Navigator certification. So let's build a quick agent here. They give you a great button, build an agent. And they've got some examples, build a customer support agent. That's a harder one to do. We're going to recommend that for a later date. Again, we want to focus on back office processes, usually in the first easiest ROI. So I can type in my own, and I've written up a prompt already. And so I'm just going to paste that in so you don't have to watch me type. But I'll explain why. So what I popped in Just so you can see, this is as the office manager for Advantage Industries, I need to assist our field engineers with booking flights to client offices in other states. I would like to build an agent that will help me identify the best available flights to the client's destination city with the highest priority attached to door-to-door total travel time between the Advantage Industries office in Columbia, Maryland, and the client's office, not necessarily the closest airport, right? So if we're flying to, say, um, I don't know, Rock Island, Illinois, not near a major airport. You'd have to fly into Rock Island. There are no nonstops from Baltimore to Rock Island. I'm going to have to change airports in Chicago. So I want an agent that will consider, should I be changing planes in Chicago, or should I just rent a car at O'Hare and drive over to Rock Island? What's the door-to-door comparison look like? And then I'm going to say the output should recommend 1 to 3 airport destinations in an easy to read table, along with the airlines flying the route, so I can then search for specific flights. Please ask, and this is a hugely powerful phrase when you're building an agent, please ask me any questions needed to refine the agent build. So one of the things you'll notice here is that I'm not talking to this like I'm a programmer. I'm talking with it just like I'm a regular person. Now I've used AI a lot, so I'm probably adding some stuff that you wouldn't know to add at first. That's okay. As long as you end it with, please ask me any other additional information you need for me to help me build, it's going to do so. So I'm going to say use this prompt and hit go. And it is going to think about and start building this agent for me. Now, one of the things I talked about earlier is go with something you know. I grew up in the Midwest. I know where Rock Island is. I know how far it is roughly from Chicago versus Des Moines. So I'm starting with something I know. I know a lot about travel, so I can validate the results. So when the agent and when I test it, I can say, yeah, that Rock Island is roughly that, 2 hours or 2.5 hours from O'Hare. So I can validate the results. Great project, Russell. Before I build this out, I have a few clarifying questions. So again, Hatz is going to walk you through building the agent. You don't need to be a programmer. It's going to do this for you. So it's going to say, hey, what are the origin airports? BWI, DCA, or IAD, Dulles? I know that I certainly don't want to be driving down to Dulles when I'm flying out. That's going to add a huge amount to my door-to-door. So this is a great case where, because the AI asked me, I'm now going to say, hey, always privilege BWI. And that makes its work easier. Now when it's searching for flights, it's only searching from BW. It already has one set point, BWI, and it only needs to search the destination side. So I'm going to get a faster agent too. Client destination. Do you know the city, or are you actually putting a specific address? And then drive time data. So what would travel time look like? So it's helping me refine the tool that it's building for me right now. And I can just sit there and do my answers, and I can say always BWI. And then number 2 is I'm going to put the full address. And number 3 might be I'm going to pull real-time traffic data, right? So I'll just put that in and etc. Right? So at this point, I can reply to the agent. It will fill in these things for me and modify. I love this third one, to drive time data. Is it doing an estimated, or is it actually going to go to Google and calculate what that is door to door? Again, I don't need to be a programmer. It will do the Python script programming for me to make that query on Google. I don't need to know how to write that. It will write it for me because I asked it to. So again, lean on the AI. And in practice, and I'm going to go back to the home. Here's one I already built. And while we're doing questions here, I'm going to just say, I'm flying to Rock Island, Illinois on June 7th. Well, can't do June 17th, right? July 17th and back to Baltimore on July 23rd. So this is an agent I already filled out with these parameters. I tested it, I refined it. Interesting enough, it was trying to do like a general destination first, and that wasn't good enough. So I had to go back because I knew I was testing against something I knew to do. I was able to say, ooh, the general isn't good enough here. Let's do a specific go to Google Maps and calculate the distance. So while this is doing its thing, let's open it up to other questions people have.
So I haven't seen anything come in, Russell. So either you're doing a phenomenal job answering questions as we go along, or people are just being shy about putting something
Yeah.
in.
Okay. Okay. Again, any of these things, now, again, if you're an Advantage client, we do want you to reach out to your client success manager. And we'll dive into this more specifically for your own company and what makes sense here. So happy to do that. But again, uh, I think the big takeaways are we want to be ground up. We want to leverage the knowledge that your employees have about the company to build our AI. It's not generic AI. It's not AI coming in from outside. With this framework, we're teaching your employees how to build their own agents. So we're building on the knowledge and experience they already have, and that's what's going to be much more effective and let them fly. So,
So,
um,
Russell, I'll ask this question just only because I feel
okay.
like I get this question quite a bit.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's a major concern for a
Yeah.
lot of people when it comes to AI, and that's the like the security
Mhm.
like aspect of it, of like
Mhm.
handling the sensitive data
Yeah.
and all that. Is Hatz AI, because obviously it's a third party platform. I know that some people are hesitant because
Yeah.
obviously it's not in your own,
Yeah.
you're giving your information out. So
Yeah.
how does Hatz AI handle that?
So Hatz AI itself is SOC 2 audited and compliant, and you can request copies of their security audit. They make them available on their website and have a security page, which we can link and get out to you. So they're very governed and externally audited when it comes to security organization. And the plans they're set up with are also with externally audited SOC 2 compliant organizations like Anthropic or OpenAI. So that's where that protection comes in. And when you're using HATS, you're under the same commercial governance of that AI company's agreement. So your security using GPT, for instance, in HATS is as good as your security using GPT with a GPT subscription. Now, again, certain people like PHI under HIPAA regulations, that's a case where you may want to be in Copilot instead because you already have that business associates agreement for HIPAA. And we can review particulars with you. But most organizations, you should be fine in HATS. If you have particular sensitivities, you may not be.
And then John did put a question in. So where does your confidence in AI come from?
Mhm. Experience. And I think that is the biggest thing. And that's one of the reasons why we take this crawl, walk, run approach, because confidence comes from experience and comes from usage, right? So that's really learning by doing. And now our job at Advantage is to be paying attention to things like the security audits of these products and make sure we're good. And we're going to keep doing that for you. But I think that's it. It's building your employee confidence and then testing it in that crawl and walk phase against known outputs, right? So you're testing it at something you know the answers to already, so you can validate that it's giving you good and accurate information. You don't go into using AI for new workflows until the run phase, and that's where you now understand how to use and manage and train your AI. Um, that's known, then you're only tackling the new workflow. You never want to be tackling two new things at once. Good question.
Well, I think that's all that we have in the questions. So do you have anything to add or?
No, I think the big takeaway is it is here and you need to know how to use it. But you have an immediate advantage if you're doing it with intention. If you're learning AI with intention, if you have a plan and approach and you're working with your staff to build out from their knowledge, that's where you have an immediate advantage over people that are just in a blanket applying AI or applying AI in an unfocused way or in an ad hoc way. By
All
the
right,
way,
well, we're a minute
we did get
over.
our airport pairs,
Okay.
and it is recommending Midway, which I'd agree with. That's pretty good, and it's going to give us our travel time, and it's actually saying rent a car at Midway. Don't change planes in Rock Island because hey, that's going to add multiple hours on top of driving. By the time you do that airplane change, and hopefully your flight connection is good. So it works.
Cool. I might use that for my next trip, whenever that is.
Please do.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for joining us. And as Russell said, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to your CSMs if you're already a client of ours. And if not, you can email Russell or sales at Get Advantage and we will help you out. This recording will be posted on LinkedIn and I'll send it out in an email too so that you have it to reference back to. Again, thank you. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and hopefully we'll see you at our next webinar. Have
Thanks,
a great one,
everybody.
everyone.